Now it's like a big window open, so want to continue with the vibe like you got. You say you pop. Cats that like their vibe to pop you in. And through that method, we can kind of tell current events and a lot of things that's going on with the whole trial with Tekashi. A lot of guys all over the United States have been affected by that because he named a bunch of people from everywhere. So he touched a lot of people with his words, and not as a rapper. So what's some of your knowledge on the gang culture of New York? Maybe even going back before, or whatever you were alive for. You ain't got to tell your age or nothing, but to know what was going on before. It was really seeing West Coast sets being represented in New York. Like in what time frame did you see that transitioning from whatever New York was at that time, and then now the gang culture, or more of the it's always been gang and mob and crime, just like any other big city. But New York, of course, being one of the country's first big, basically the country's first big fucking city. New York.
I remember the first time I seen Bloods in New York, I think it was early 2000. I was I'm with one of my cousins, and we out in Far Rockaway, Queens, and there was these dudes walking across the street, like we got a red light. He driving, I'm in the passenger seat. Somebody, we talking or whatever, and then as he's talking, I'm looking, and I just see like about maybe 6, 7, 8 dudes, just walking across the street, and they all got red on. So I'm like, oh, it's Christmas, like what's going on,
Were they like youngsters?
They were
teenagers.
They were kind of young too. So that's why I'm just thinking, what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But Cuzzo was like, nah, them niggas is blood, and I was like, blood, what? I'm tripping because what I'm saying. I'm like, we don't have Crips and Bloods in New York. And like I said, this was like 2001. This was either 2000 or 2001. Because like I said, I had already left New York and went down south. So it's like in the 90s, I'm in the south, but I'm always, back and forth or whatever. But I'm up there and I'm in Queens, and that's the first time I seen Bloods and heard that there was Bloods in New York.
Around that time, you had Diplomats coming out, and you had...
See, I was locked up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
So that was like the first time we had really heard, or maybe in a long time, Bloods had represented from a New York artist.
Right.
Was around that time too.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it was that just bugged me out, when I heard that, because just growing up in New York back, like during our era, like like in the 80s and early 90s, we always looked at dudes on the West Coast like, niggas are stupid. They out there fighting over colors. They killing each other over, you know what I'm saying? We didn't really know, Of course, the conscious ones among us now who began doing the research and looking back into the gang life and gang culture and seeing what it was about, we understood that the Crips and Bloods on the West Coast, their predecessors was the Panther movement. You know what I'm saying? The militancy and stuff in the Panthers, and
and then those quote unquote with the law enforcement started calling these groups of black men in their neighborhoods. They would call them gangs, but no, you would ask them, no, we're clubs, and they were protecting their neighborhoods from outside threats.
Right, because back on the West Coast, back in the 1940s, 1950s, little white boys would come in the community and...
so they were protecting themselves.
Disrespect your community, desecrate the black community, snatch up a little black girl, might take off somewhere, rape her. Hell, if they get caught, ain't nothing really going to happen to them. You know what I'm saying? So we got to protect our communities.
Yeah.
So this is really where the whole black gang thing really started on the West Coast, from that type of mentality.
Yeah.
Take care of your community, not destroy your community.
Yeah.
So after learning about that, we respected that. On the East Coast, probably the first encounter New York dudes had with blood was really when Pop came out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like around in the 94, 95.
Death Row.
Right, with Death Row. Because around that time, like, again, in New York, there is no Crips and Bloods.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? See, if we go back a few decade or so, you know, the father, Brother Clarence 13X, he eradicated all of that and had every gang member in New York come under one banner, the 7. You know what I'm saying? You 5%, 5%ers. You know what I mean? But as time went on, you know, brothers just eventually fell victim to society, which in this case is prison. Yeah. Because like how the Crips and Bloods on the East Coast were starting on the streets in the community, on the East Coast or in New York, it started in the prison, in the jails.
Prison gang, yeah.
By fake guards running around here masquerading as 5%ers. Stick-up kids, basically. One thing about New York, especially Brooklyn niggas, you know, we known for robberies. Stick-ups. You know, I did my first stick-up when I was like, what, 16. You know what I'm saying? You know, we start them early. You know, back in that day, in that era. You know what I'm saying? So those who were able to rise above that negativity and came out of that lifestyle did better for themselves when they got the knowledge or the information or the knowledge of self. Others who got knowledge of self didn't change. They stayed as stick-up kids. That was just their mentality. When you go to jail, the recidivism rate for 5%ers in New York, and whether it be Rikers Island or it be up in the state prisons or whatever, Attica, Sing Sing, Elmira, Oneida, all of them, it was more, you know what I'm saying? They're bunched up in a group in the prisons. Brothers in the Nation of Islam, when they get the knowledge of self and they hit the streets, a lot of times they didn't come back. Some of them probably did here and there, but it was very few. It was more like the Malcolm story. They got the information and they went out and actually did something. You know what I'm saying? To signify that they really was God. You know what I mean? You know, these other individuals, they got the knowledge and they didn't do anything with it. They just remained as stick-up kids. You see what I'm saying?
What is your like you said, maybe early 2000, 2001, the whole thing with the New York blood set that, you know, that they're naming, or that, you know, 6ix9ine named in court, 9 Trey Bloods, you know, what's your knowledge on, what have you seen as far as, you know, that being a part of New York culture, or you know, the guys that were representing that, what was going on during that time, and, you know?
Like I said, I mean, again, as far as during that era, you know, and what the 9 Treys, and after the UBN, the United Blood Nation, was formed, and this 9 Trey and all of this stuff. I really don't know too much of that history, you know what I'm saying, you know, about that, but I'm just giving the knowledge of the predecessor. I guess you could say I'm the big homie. You know what I'm saying? Because those individuals that started these blood sets, Brim and 9 Trey and all of this stuff, you know, again, their history is 5%ers. And I know that the 5%ers, their predecessor is the Nation of Islam. Just like the Bloods on the West Coast, their predecessors is the Black Panthers. And their predecessors is the Nation of Islam. Seeing how the soldiering of the FOI and the, you know, the Fruit of Islam, they put that into a gang structure on the street, and they try to clean up the communities. So as far as the history, I can give you the history of, you know, blood founders and like their knowledge and where it derived from. It derived from us. You see what I'm saying? You know, but these were always individuals that never really built. They just always remained, I guess you could say, inactive. You know what I'm saying? But it's almost like the science in Yakub. You know, similar. You know, like how he dealt with a dissatisfied proportion of the population, and he took them off onto an island of his own, Patmos, and there he began grafting from the original man until he got the weakest form of human being that we see today, which is the Caucasian white man. So likewise, with the New York City Bloods, same thing. In this area where they're locked up, you know what I'm saying, they began grafting. How do you begin making devil? You begin by grafting from the original or taking from what was originally there. So lessons change, teachings change, discipline is not instituted. So eventually we see this grafting process, and now we get the worst form of a god running around, you know.
This is what you mentioned earlier.
Cutting people.
Rebel God.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the rebel guards. The rebel guards are individuals that like I'm talking about. I seen something on it was a Queen's Flip channel, and you know, he had Killer Kev and some of these other guys on there, and I mean, you know, like these individuals were stick-up kids.
Yeah.
That's not nothing to be happy about or proud about. I'm sure if you was to ask Killer Kev or any of these individuals, as loony as they may be, they'll tell you that's not a life that, no, I wouldn't, you know what I'm saying?
They were doing what they had to do at the time.
At the time. You know what I'm saying? And I respect that, you know, but eventually you have to begin to elevate and grow out of that if you call yourself a God. Because a God is one who changes, you know, by growing and developing over time. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, God, I don't know, man. I mean, at the end of the day, just like the United States of America, this nation was founded by gangsters and killers and robbers.
Yeah.
You know, like Moses in the Bible, he left the children of Israel a sign. What are you going to choose? Is it going to be life or is it going to be death? Americans have to choose life or death. Likewise with the blood nations or the blood sects out there. You got to choose life or death at this point. Because your nation was founded by robbers, stick-up kids, jailbirds, whatever you want to call yourself, I don't care at the end of the day, as long as you're acting righteous. You know what I'm saying? This is the reason why we hold the name Muslim dear to us, because it signifies one who is trying to live righteous. He may not be all the way there yet, but he's striving to live that way. And he's not going to go around sticking up people. You see what I'm saying?
To start change, you know, you got to start that process and discipline, and you know, just stop what is not what you what you're trying to be. You know, you just got to stop those things that have become habitual.
Yeah. And like on the island, real quick, and when Brothers was locked up, I know you're gonna close out in a few minutes or whatever, but I was just gonna say, the brothers out was on the island, and I was watching on Queen's Flip. That was the thought that I was gonna bring. I was watching this one Spanish dude. I think he's from the Nietas or the Latin Kings, one of the two.
Yeah.
But he was just saying that he pointed out something that was important. He said there was two groups of 5%ers. There was one group that they didn't try to stick us up or get our commissary or, you know, they wasn't trying. They would actually try to build with us and tell us that we were a part of their family, their nation, the original nation, and you know, the brown man or what. But then he said there was another group of 5%ers that you had to sleep with an eye on them. You know what I'm saying? Because they might try to get you.
Yeah.
You know, bang you out. You know what I'm saying? Poke you out or whatever. You know.
At the end of the day, it's you know, an organization is a group of individuals. So whatever the, you know, united front of those individuals that caused them to group into an organization, shit, it's a bunch of, you know, stick-up kids in this group, you know, whatever they claiming, that banner gets that, you know, that heat from the from the actions of the, you know, the members.
Yeah.
But like you said, boom, these guys over here really trying to build with us. So
yeah.
You know, like I like the points that you were saying, man. You know, growth, and you just got to start the process.
Yeah.
Start the process, no matter where you come from.
Sure did.
Man, good building with you, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's your boy DJ Riskk. Got Daysun the God. Appreciate your knowledge, man. And
Peace.
next time.
God 7 always. Peace.